Hi everyone, welcome to my presentation here. As you can see, the topic we are talking about today is judge, helping players from home. Okay, so you can't really hear the judge. Okay, so it's my first time talking about this topic, so any feedback is appreciated. It's something that I really like to do. It's a passion of mine. So any feedback would be really appreciated. From the last time my presentation about replacement effects, one of the feedbacks I got was that sometimes I can sound monotonous. That is because I'm fighting terrible anxiety. I always get anxious about these kind of things. So I hope I can do better this time, and I'll hope I can try to make this topic as interesting as possible. Okay, without further ado, let's get started. After this is break time, right? Yeah, so I don't think I want to delay everyone's dinner time. All right, so what is my topic today all about? Okay, as the topic suggests, let's look back. Okay, it's about how do we help players from home? Okay, in other words, how do we answer judge calls when you're not in a tournament? Okay, so doesn't necessarily have to be from home. You could be somewhere else, just that you're not in a tournament. Okay, so why do I want to talk about this, and why is this topic relevant to us? Okay, basically, whole of last year and this year too seems to be something like this. Things have been crappy. We haven't had any like events or big events. I'm sure all those GP veterans, I mean Magic Fest veterans, are all like wondering like, oh, when is the next time we can travel? Okay, all of us are pretty much stuck at home. Even our players as well. Of course, they would play some games in their own gatherings, smaller gatherings. Okay, so yeah, so in that sense, players, they don't really have like a direct avenue to judges, and so and considering that all these games are mostly casual games. Yeah, yes, I miss. I think everyone of us miss traveling to Magic Fest here, right? Yeah, so considering that most games played nowadays are in small gatherings, or considered casual games. So players sometimes they don't really know, how to interact with judges, or maybe sometimes you are like, okay, is there anything that I can do while sitting at home? How do we help players? All right, so we'll be talking about why are we doing this? Okay, where can we do this, and a bit on how do we go about doing that. All right, a little bit about myself first. Okay, as you can see, that's why you like to do. I like to dress up as the guy in the picture there. Right now, I'm not sweating because there's aircon, but otherwise, by now I'll be like drenched already. Okay, hi, I'm Z, level 2 from Malaysia. All right, I've been judging since 2012, and I made level 2 since 2013. In fact, Facebook thankfully reminded me that it was 13th January of 2013, so it was just a few days ago. I celebrated my 8th anniversary. Yeah, and I only joined Judge Academy at the end of June. I almost let it expire when some people, some good friends say that you should stay on, and yeah, I'm glad I did. And well, and we all know how that turned out so far. I haven't really got around flexing my judge muscles. Yeah, you've probably seen me in my you've probably seen my art in as judge tokens. I'm still figuring out how I should bring this project back. I really, really, really want to do this again. If you ever seen it before, just give a react. Yeah. Anyway, back to the topic. Okay. So first of all, before y'all spend the next 30 or 40 minutes wondering why I'm doing this. Okay. So why do I want to talk about this topic? Okay, what's the whole point of helping players, even though when you're not in a tournament. In a tournament, generally it's like, oh, you expect to be paid, you expect to carry a certain level of authority. But right now I'm just sitting at home. Like, why do we want to do this? First reason is fun. Okay, people usually I see it, blah 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 and fun. No, I like fun as the first reason to do it. Okay, I like making myself happy. I'm selfish like that. I feed off feedback. Okay? When people say that, oh, that's a good answer, it makes me happy, and that's why I enjoy doing this. Okay. Secondly, it's to keep my judge skills sharp. Okay. I'm pretty sure all of us are raring to go back to judging sanction events, and of course, before we can do that, we don't really know when we can do that yet. One of the ways to keep our judge skills, our rules knowledge, our policy knowledge, our diplomacy, everything, our investigation sharp is to help them, even though we can't see them. Right. And okay, another way is another reason why is to keep you engaged with your community. Okay, sometimes your local players, your local play group, they might appreciate that there's still a rules person that they can rely on, okay, even though they might not be seeing anyone face to face. And of course, your local store might appreciate the help. And of course, if you own the store yourself, players they might appreciate your shop, your store even more. And finally, one of the reasons that you should try to help out is generally this kind of thing is very low risk. Okay, there without like big prizes on the line, or without the time pressure of a tournament. Okay, there's not too much pressure of getting your answers wrong. Okay, of course, you should still do your research. You should still answer properly, and strive to give the correct answers. Okay. However, this means that you get to you challenge, okay, certain questions that you might think that are above your league, okay? Especially considering that the most casual format, the most popular casual format is EDH. Like Rick said, okay, EDH multiplayer. There's like a bunch of more complex interactions that might come up. Okay, so and especially like even if you get it wrong, it's not too hard to say, oh sorry, I was wrong earlier, and this is why this should be the correct answer. All right. So given all the reasons, I'm sure there's still something that you might be having. Okay, do I have to do all this? Okay, no, this is entirely voluntary, as with all the things that we do outside of the tournament. Okay, there's not really a real reward, other than some community recognition and some self satisfaction. Personally, I like the self satisfaction. Okay, as QJ mentioned earlier, there are certain social there are things that we do for social obligations. Or I want to get the foils and things like that. Same here, but this is something that I like to do in my free time. Like especially if you look at the Ask the Judge Facebook group, for example. I'll be talking more about that later. Okay, I tend to not really see many judges from our region, try to help out with the rules questions there. So I hope that this presentation can give you some motivation, to try and be more involved in that way. Okay, water break. I got it from IKEA. So yeah. Anyway, going back to the presentation. Okay, looking at the ways we can connect to our players. Okay, where can we? No, absolutely. Yep. Okay. Rick says, yeah, more complicated EDH rules coming out soon. Yes. Keith says coming out with Kaldheim. Absolutely, yes. We'll be touching briefly on that later. But yeah, so how do we connect to our players? There are two ways. Okay? It's either you go to the players or the players come to you. Okay, so if the players already go to you, that means that it generally means that okay, you already have an established presence in your community. Okay, so I'll just briefly touch on that. But the other one I'll mainly focus here is what happens when you go to the players, especially when you're answering in an open forum. Okay, so one of the most easiest, one of the most direct ways of helping your players is they can call you. Okay, that's as I mentioned, that's the most direct, that's the most intimate way that they can get in touch with you. Okay, of course, it goes without saying. Calling you means that generally you would know the person already, okay? Especially if you don't own a store or anything. I mean, you wouldn't give your number to a stranger, and if a stranger suddenly calls you to ask about EDH rules. Well, it's either you are some superstar or I don't know, the person might be trolling you or something. Okay, it is almost always a live call. Okay, there's a certain degree of urgency to it, so it is good to treat these kind of calls with the seriousness as you were in a tournament. Okay. One of the drawbacks though is that you usually can't see the bot state unless of course it's a video call, and this again gets complicated, especially when most people here now play EDH or Commander. All right, so what are the things that we have to keep in mind when that happens? Okay, first of all, there's a reason why the telephone game is called a telephone game. Okay, sometimes information might be lost while speaking to each other, network problems, things like that. Okay, first of all, you have to confirm the question. Okay, you can do this by repeating the question back to the player, or you can clarify any cards that are ambiguous. Like, let's say if somebody asks about Kolagan, is it the Dragonlord Kolagan or is it the Storm Fury Kolagan, for example? Confirm the board state or the game state, especially in multiplayer and you have any stack questions. One of the frequently asked questions you can ask is, okay, whose turn is it and how does the turn order go? Okay. And of course, sometimes if you cannot answer the question right away, okay, there's no harm in saying, I'll call you back while I confirm the answers elsewhere. Okay. In case you also need to use your phone, for example, to check for Oracle text or CR text. So instead of making a wait, you can just say, I'll call you back in a minute. Okay. So one of the apps that I use on my phone is this one, MTG Familiar. It has all the Oracle text, quite updated. It has all the legalities and as well as all the documents that you need. And the other app that I use, but I use it on my PC, is Bakko. Shout out to KS. KS, are you here, KS? KS from Penang, L2 from Penang. He develops this app. I use this app on my phone, on my PC. So, of course, it goes without saying that, one more time, don't give a number to strangers. So, that is the simple one. Let's get it out of the way. And with that, drink some water. Everyone should too. BB into Vulcan and choose casting Tybalt Cosmic Imposter question. Yeah, you'll see that later. John Sai says, is that a big ass glass of water? Yeah, this is from the gardening department of IKEA. It's very useful. All right, going on. Second way that you can help out your players, or sometimes players need help, or is in Facebook groups. Okay, I'm pretty sure everyone here has a Facebook account. If not, whatever social media platform you use, I'm pretty sure there's always a judge platform there. It can be Facebook, can be Reddit, or even Twitter. So where can we look for help or look for people who need help? Okay, there's a particular reason why I chose this image, because that's the cover image of the Ask the Judge group, Ask the Judge MTG group, available at www.facebook.com/groups/MTG Ask the Judge. Okay, so as you can see here, they have almost 14,000 members. Okay, yeah, everyone here. Okay, they can post questions, they can post answers. You don't have to be a judge to answer questions. So answers generally they get answered very fast, in minutes, especially when people are online, and there are several people who are the regular. There are several regulars in the group who you always see their names, right? As you can see, these are the admins here. Most of them are from our region. I think, if I'm not mistaken, Phil, you're the one who created the group, right? I think, So yeah, I mean, it's I think it's good that if we can spend a bit more time here to sharpen our rules knowledge. Okay. So other than this group, the other big group that I know of is MTG Rocks. This is, as you can see, it's bigger. It's like 48,000 players, 48,000 members. It's not rules focused, it's magic focused, but sometimes, amidst all the turtle memes and other things, you will see some rules questions. Okay, and because there is a lower concentration of judges here, the quality of answers you get tend to be lower. So in that sense, they do need more help there. Okay, but of course, this one is sort of a wild west already. Okay. So what are the characteristics of these kind of groups? Okay, generally, they are not time sensitive. All right, so Calvin here posts that, okay, Facebook Magic the Gathering Commander, okay, there's a lot of players, 68k, that's even bigger. I'm not part of that, but I think I should join that later. Anyway, okay, Facebook groups, they are generally not time sensitive, but do expect people to answer very fast. Okay, and after you answer, you not only get feedback from the person who asked you the question, but also from other people. Also, usually what happens is if people see that it's a right answer, not only right but right and good answer, they will show support by liking, love, or whatever. While on the other hand, wrong answers, they will get corrected. It's either someone says, okay, this is wrong, this is why, and gives an answer, or sometimes they might put an angry or sad react there, which is not very nice, but yeah, it happens. Okay. And as mentioned, the level doesn't matter as long as you get the right answer. In Ask the Judge, you are encouraged to append your level in front of your answer. But if you don't have, it's fine. Outside of Ask the Judge group, I would prefer not to like say that I am a judge while answering. So don't so I don't give the impression that oh, I'm a judge. It means that I'm right. As in the right answer isn't so much about whether you're a judge or not. You can be not a judge and still give the right answer. That's what I'm trying to say. All right, so let's look at some of the do's and don'ts. Okay, when replying, okay, when giving a public answer like that. Okay, so first of all, considering that it's a text format that you're replying in, okay, do take the extra time for well-phrased and well-paragraphed answers. Okay. It's worth it to write full sentences, or it's worth it to use proper grammar and spelling. But of course, if you think that you're weak about that, don't worry about it. You should still give your answer. By using proper language, proper English, you sound more authoritative that way, and they'll get a better impression of your answer. Okay. You can consider quoting the rules, but not too much. Okay, rules as in not just comprehensive rules. Sometimes it might be policy questions where you have to quote MTR or IPG rules. Okay, here's an example of quoting the rules. This person replied to, it's actually my question. Okay, is that supposed to be a no? Okay. The question doesn't matter, but as you can see down here, there's a huge chunk of text there, right? So it's a question about linked abilities anyway. So the rules here is about linked abilities. Okay, so blah 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 blah. It's a lot of text. Yeah. So actually, this is the only relevant part. So technically, you can just post this part. Okay, and this is a lot more easy to read than this. Of course, it's a lot easier to edit your text when you're on the keyboard. So on phone it might be harder. So sometimes on your phone you might even consider just sending a screenshot like that. Okay. Personally, I prefer it typed out or copy pasted out, mainly because it looks better. And screenshots are sort of just they feel a bit lazy, but if you do it, I don't blame you. Yeah, and as you can see, right after somebody says that they appreciate the response. Okay, it was a pretty intense game, and I love that this group offers us casual tabletoppers a means to get a ruling if need be. Okay, you're all the best. Okay, see, people actually appreciate. They actually appreciate how you help them. All right, Phil says, while the guidelines say that your level should be indicated when you're answering questions, this can be omitted simply because some people sometimes seek validation from judges if some guy answers their question but doesn't trust their guy. Hold on, I'm trying to figure out what it means. The guy say some people sometimes seek validation from judges if some guy answers their question but doesn't trust that guy. Oh, as in like sometimes people will answer without the level, right? Like I say, sometimes some people answer without the level, and they're like, are you sure or not? Because you didn't show you're a judge. So, yeah. So in that sense, yeah, it's good that you append your judge level to the answer, but sometimes outside of that group, I sometimes I wouldn't do it. Hold on, let me see. There's a question here suddenly. What can I do if I'm persecuted for a wrong judge call? This question is by Jose. Okay. What do you mean by a wrong judge call? As in an online question? Is that what you're talking about? Like if you give the answer, if you answer the question wrong online, and some people are talking bad about it. Okay. We'll come to that later. We'll be talking about it later. Later, there is a part about it. Oh my god, this is Fazri. He's like all over me. He is unrepentant. So yeah, Jose, it's okay if I answer your question a bit later. I am sure I will. Hold on. Yeah, I'm sure. I should be touching about it later, but sorry. Yeah, I should be answering about it later, but if not, maybe you can just ping me again at the end of the towards the end of the presentation. Yeah, that's one of the cats. He's insanely heavy, but anyway. All right, so we can go through some example answers that I've seen. Okay, but generally the format that I like to use is, okay, you have you need to have a direct answer, like, okay, yes, no, or it will be like this. Okay, then you can have a brief explanation about why, and of course you quote the rule if it's relevant. So let's see, where's my mouse? There you go. All right. Okay, so this is a question about someone asking about, okay, whether Time Bender or Fury Charm can remove only one time counter when somebody says that, oh, okay, when a card says, oh, you have to remove two time counters. Okay, so some people said that, okay, yes, the ability will do as much as it can, as long as it has less than two counters. Yes, you can do both. Okay, but the person who asked the question isn't really sure if it's possible to do that. Okay, he says that, okay, he's not sure. So first of all, we don't know if Mr. G and Mr. P here are their judges. They didn't say. So maybe that's why Mr. Z here is not too sure. So as you can see, I added that, okay, I'm an L2. And to add on, why is it possible? I quoted the rule that says that, okay, it is possible for you to do that because if an effect attempts to do something impossible, it only does as much as possible. So yeah, you can actually remove one time counter using these two cards. Yeah, another example here is, okay, person asks whether he casts Winds of Rebuke onto Rest in Peace, and where the two milled cards will end up. Okay, so as you can see, R here says that, okay, you do Winds of Rebuke in the order is written, which means Rest in Peace is returned before the cards are milled, which means its replacement effects will not apply to the milled cards. Okay, okay answer, but it doesn't really directly answer the question, which is where the milled cards ends up. Okay, so T added here, okay, it ends up in the graveyard. Okay, because RIP. is not in play when those cards are milled. And K here, K is one of the most active users in the group. Okay, provides the CR reference for it. Okay, and I think the CR reference can be better in the sense that okay, all this doesn't matter. You this first sentence is only the one that's relevant here. Okay, so these are just some quick examples. If you want more examples on how to answer questions, you can always just hop into the group and see what other people do, and of course, give it a try yourself. Okay, and finally, one of the things that might happen sometimes, especially now because the new set is coming out soon, okay, is that sometimes we are simply not sure about the question. Okay, and maybe the best thing to say is, just wait for the release notes or the notes updates. Do you all remember this card, Opposition Agent? When this card was first previewed in Commander Legends, everyone was like, "Oh, what happens? If there are multiple, okay, if there are multiple opposition agents in play?" And of course, you get many different answers. So this is a case where the answers are already can be answered given the current rules. Okay, but of course, if we wait for the release notes, there is a very definite answer given there. Okay, sometimes, okay, in cases like these, okay, what happens when you cascade into Valky? Can you actually cast the flip side Tibalt? Okay, so it is another question that appeared right after Valky was spoiled. So again, it is something that is answerable in the current version of the comprehensive rules. Okay, but again, it is like not very sure. Are they going to change the rules or not? Okay, so if you actually search around on the internet and everything, okay, you can see that the rules manager here, Matt Tayback, they actually gave a definite answer about that, and he said yes, you can. So you can actually quote him into your answer. Okay. Sometimes there are rules changes that we are not sure if going to happen, and we don't really know if the answer is right or wrong. For example, this is a newly spoiled card, Tundra Fumarole. It says that okay, it deals 4 damage to a creature or planeswalker, but at the same time, it adds 1 colorless mana for each snow mana spent to cast this spell. Okay. So the question here is whether this card, there have been questions on, not in Ask the Judge, but questions on Reddit, whether this card is the colorless mana produced from this card is considered snow mana or not. Okay, so if you look at older cards, okay, snow mana here says that okay, they come from a snow permanent, but if you look at Kaldheim cards, it says that it comes from a snow source. Maybe yes, maybe no. Okay, but of course, the most safest way is to say that you should just wait for the release notes. So those are the rules. Let's quickly go back and see again. Okay, so first of all, take the time, research your answer. Make your answer look nice. Sometimes you have to quote the rules, and sometimes you just have to say wait for the release notes. Now let's look at the don'ts. Okay, what shouldn't you do when you answer online? Okay, first of all, don't just say RPFC or read the friendly card. Okay, even if the answer seems very obvious to you. Okay, first of all, it is very rude. You deserve a slap like that. Okay, you imagine that you won't say that to people in real life. Okay, it's like you're getting a real judge call. You won't go there and tell him that just RTFC, just read the card. So sometimes people are they are just very new to the game. Okay, and they are like, what is trample? What does trample do? What does it mean? Okay, and you're like, oh, what does equip mean? Can I equip on your opponent? Okay, simple things like that. Maybe they're just very new, and if you reply to them rudely, okay, you might just alienate them from the community. Another thing that you shouldn't do is give one word answers. Okay, like for example, Mr. B here said timestamps. Okay. Doesn't matter what the question is. Okay, as you can see here, the generally here is not very. Yeah, RDSV can be a Ricardo Testori fan club as well. Hi Ricardo, big fan. Okay. Yeah, so as you can see here, this B guy just says timestamps. Doesn't matter what the question is. It's not very helpful, you see. It's like, okay, what do I do then? Okay. Ask the judge, they also generally says that you shouldn't just say yes or no. Try to give an explanation if possible. And yeah, so generally all these answers are not very helpful. As you can see, somebody laugh at them. It's like, and there's a discussion following that. Okay. Finally, if you heard that, that's my cat jumping around. Anyway, finally, you shouldn't try to give strategic advice or derail the discussion. Okay. But although it is a bit different from live calls where you can actually afford a bit of extra things. Okay, let's look at the example on the left. Okay, so question is asking, if I put Master of Cruelties with Kale in the vase, can I activate Rook's Passage to make Master of Cruelties unblockable before blockers are declared? So M here says, yep, it is one of my favorite janky combos in my Kalia Commander deck. That is not what you will say in a live call. But this is, I think this is still fine. Okay. Question is answered, and like yay, you found a combo too. But if you look at the one on the right, okay, question is asking, if I give a creature +3/+3 on a turn, and if I end the turn with either Sandal or Obika, does it keep the +3/+3? So Mr. S here says, Obika works best with beginning of the end step. Okay. This is unrelated discussion. It is somewhat relevant in a sense that I believe this S guy is like I think he's trying to build a deck where he wants to abuse, exploit this beginning of end step thing, and he's like, oh okay, I'll let them know that you should look out for this phrase beginning or the end step. But over here, it doesn't really answer the question. And just like in live calls, we don't really appreciate this kind of strategic advice. So you shouldn't really do it in this kind of public discussions as well. So, so that's generally about the do's and don'ts of replying to questions. Okay, let's take a look. Okay, Keith says, please kindly check gatherer.wizards.com. Then if you still don't understand, please ask me again. Kelvin says, but a lot of players don't even refer to gatherer, but start scolding judges for not replying. I mean, yes, true. You can always point them to a certain resource, but of course, before that, they already have a question in mind. So it's like before you give them any further advice, it's probably useful to to address their immediate concern first. You can always reply. One way I do it is it's like, okay, so after giving the reply, and it's like sorry, lost a bit train of thought. Yeah, it's like yep, you give a reply, but something else. You can give further information, but you can always find out more about this. Let's say in this section of the comprehensive rules. So, what happens when you want to give a reply, but somebody else has already replied? Okay, so let's talk about how do you chime into other people's answers? Some people might give right answers, might give wrong answers, but that doesn't mean that you can't help out. Okay, so first thing you can do is if you see an answer, a very good answer, do give it a like, show support. Okay, it encourages people to answer more. They're like, oh yeah, people appreciate what I'm doing. Okay, and it also gives the person who asked the question more confidence that that answer is correct. Okay. Secondly, you can consider provide additional information. Okay, like as mentioned just now, you can check gatherer for any further rulings or so on. Okay, for example, somebody asks, "Hello, judges, is Sundering Titan modern legal or not?" Okay. First question is a very direct answers. Yep, here's the legality of it. Takes a screenshot of MTG Familiar and shows that it's modern legal. Okay, but following that, somebody also replies that, okay, this is where you can find out all the banned and restricted cards. So now the player will know that, oh, okay, so if I want to find out if a card is banned or not, I can just go to this link. Okay. And of course, sometimes if you see a wrong answer, okay, what can you do? Okay, doesn't have to be totally wrong. Sometimes it's not quite right. Okay, and of course you can always just add on to it. Okay, this is what happened to me a few days ago. Okay, somebody asked if you can target a creature with mutual destruction, bone splinters, and sacrifice a creature as an additional cost. Okay, so as I said, yes you can, but I said counter upon resolution. #old school. P says it's not that it's countered, it's that it fails to resolve. Okay, so just a very quick exchange. He's just setting things a bit straight, and I say, thanks for the clarification, and let's move on. Sometimes though, sometimes you can get quite a few wrong answers, especially when you're not in the Ask the Judge group. This one question is, I got it from the MTG Rocks group. It's a long question, but basically what it's asking is whether or not deflecting sword, basically I change the target. Can I change the target of a kill spell to a hexproof creature owned by the same player? Okay, so before I answered, I was like, people say, no, you can't, no, you can't, no, you can't. I'm like, okay, something must be a bit wrong about my knowledge about this. I'm pretty sure you can, because they are controlled by the same player. So I went back to do a bit of research, read the rules carefully about it, about targeting and so on. Okay, make sure that, it sounds like it can. Only then I reply that, yes, you can actually do that. So this kind of things generally will be, they'll mess you up a bit, but don't worry if you can quote the rules. For example, after this, I actually linked to them an article saying that yes, you can actually do it. Just that the article was written in 2010 when hexproof was first introduced. But anyway, it's like, yes, you can do it. But of course, there was still a bit of argument based on it. So somebody didn't really believe that you can, because they thought that you gain control of the spell when you change target of it. So what you can do here is, you can support the correct answer by liking it. You can see the answer given by C. He has 10 likes. And E here, who doesn't really understand what the card does, there's a laugh react. It's not very nice. So generally, I would recommend that, if you see the correct answer, just like it. That's all. All right, so that is generally about what was that? Yeah, generally about answering in Facebook groups or any social media. Okay. And finally, another way you can get in touch with people in and out of community is through chat groups. Okay, so it may or may not be your local community. Maybe your local community, your shop has a WhatsApp group or Line group. I know, like Indonesia and Thailand use Line. Malaysia and Singapore usually use WhatsApp. I'm not sure about Philippines. Okay. Or either that, or you can find similar groups on Discord. These may or may not be time sensitive. Okay, it might be a live call, like, hey, somebody just fires a message. Oh, I have this thing here now. Signal or bus WhatsApp spies on you. Yep, too bad. Well, we'll see what happens. Yeah, so they may or may not be time sensitive. Okay, but of course, since you are typing, it also gives you some time to formulate your answers, to write your answers properly. Okay, one of the drawbacks as compared to Facebook is that there's only a single conversation thread. Okay, and sometimes it is very easy for questions to get lost in the conversation. So here's an example of what happened in the local EDH group. Okay, as you can see, on the top question, someone asked, okay, for Genju of the Realms, okay, does the legend rule apply to all the cards named Island if Genju of the Realms is put on an island? So the second one is actually a reply. Does Pirate Jace alt kill itself off? Doesn't really answer the question. And immediately followed by that is, okay, secondary question, blah, 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 blah. So he doesn't seem very convinced about the answer, the rhetorical question that the previous person gave. So eventually, when I stepped in, like this is like what, almost 5 hours later, okay, you generally have to quote it back. To answer the question, you have to quote the previous the question itself, in case if things get messy. So yeah, so generally that is pretty much what I want to talk about. So yeah, just briefly summarizing what we have gone through. Okay, so judging is still very relevant in these interesting times, even though we're at home. Games are still being played, and players still need help. Okay, you should treat answers, okay, even though they might not be live, but do treat them as how you answer a live call. And finally, okay, support each other. As shown above, if people give a right answer, okay, do consider reacting favorably to the answer. If it's wrong, okay, you can always explain why it's wrong. If you think that the answer needs further clarification, you can always append more information to it. Yeah, so no examples, no scenarios from me here. If you want example scenarios, you can always refer back to the groups we mentioned just now. What was it again? Let me just type it here. Facebook.com/groups/MPG Ask the Judge. Yeah, okay. So if you want examples, you want scenarios, feel free to just check out the group. Again, shout out to Phil, amazing group. And yeah, so generally that's what I want to talk about today. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, feel free to write in the questions tab. And all right, let's get back to Jose earlier. What can I do if I'm persecuted for a wrong judge call? I mean, persecuted is quite a strong word here, as in like, are people attacking you, or are people attacking you, or are people, or like they don't trust you as much? I mean generally I think especially in Ask the Judge, you sort of have a bit of leeway, in the sense that most of the times they are all casual games, as in there shouldn't be too much of a pressure there, in case if you get it wrong. But like witch hunted, like what did I actually do to you? I mean, I'm not I'm not trivializing this. It's just that it's a bit I can't imagine what could happen.
If I may, the term is too harsh and too big. Actually, the term persecuted seems to be. I mean, it's too harsh, right? If you say that you're persecuted for what? I think the question needs some clarity.
Yeah. So I mean, like in general, I think is just do your best. If you get it wrong, then just acknowledge that you got it wrong. Like if you remember earlier on, I got a part wrong. I just said that, oh, okay, it's my bad. Where was it again? Blah blah blah. Yeah, so it's like, if you get it wrong, then just acknowledge that you got it wrong, and just remember your mistake. Like I just said, oh, my bad, I said something wrong, then that's it. Because these kind of things, especially like this group, it has like 200 questions per day. I don't know how long I scroll to find this question. So it's like people will generally forget things fast. Don't think that is something that you have to be worried about unless it has real world repercussions or something. If that happens, then you might want to bring it to authorities already. But
Yeah,
otherwise, if it's an online thing, it's fine. That's why I mentioned earlier that it's low risk, and I would like to see more people from this region to to try to sharpen their rules knowledge that way.
that is true. And
Yeah.
if I may add to that, yeah, online is lower risk, and even if it's, let's say, an actual event, I don't think that you can make a mistake that would really ruin the event. You may ruin someone's day. You may ruin someone's run for a top eight, but that's it. I mean, you're not going to ruin the event. So I don't think there's a real reason for someone to be persecuted about making a mistake, because making a mistake is something that we can all build on and we can all improve on.
Yep.
I mean, just my 2 cents on that. So, yeah. So that don't be afraid to make mistakes. That's all we're trying to say here.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. That is very true. Anything else? If not, I think I have come to the end of my presentation.
Yeah. Just one question from me. All
Yep.
judges here. If you have made a wrong call, say yes to the chat. Reply yes. If you haven't made a wrong call, that's fine.
Oh
But if you had,
yes. I type in yes too.
yes. And trust me, we're all going to make another mistake. It's not intentional, but we will do that.
Yep. Brian here says that people online can be harsh, yes, especially when hidden behind the screen. And I think we all know how bad it feels to make a wrong ruling. I think if you make a mistake, then someone calls you out for it or makes fun of you, I'm sure it will feel really embarrassing. Yes, but of course that is part and parcel of of what we do, and by thickening our skin online, I'm pretty sure we'll do better in real life as well.
It does count, Chris. It does
Yep.
count. Wrong penalty does count. So there, we all made mistakes, and we're all going to make mistakes in the future. The thing is that we have to learn from that. I'm sorry if I butted in all of a sudden, but it's just that it's for me. We should not be afraid of making mistakes.
Yep.
So yeah, we're all humans. So being certified does not mean we're certified not to make mistakes. It's not that how it works.
Yep. All right.
So
So
there.
hold on. Phil has said something. Z, may I add to the quick answering part in one of your slides? Do you want to talk about it here, or do you want to message me? As in, is this part of the feedback? If yes, you can always include in your feedback, or otherwise, if you think that everybody here should. Oh, should, okay, sure. Should add something for everyone here. Yep, sure.
You want to speak, Phil, and have the mic?
You don't have a mic? It's okay. I'll read it out for you. It's like a super chat.
Z, after that, send everyone to a break. Everyone should be back by 6:30.
Yep.
Okay,
Okay. If you
thank
see
you.
someone answering already, but if you have an answer ready, don't hesitate to answer. Okay, it is not a race to get the fastest answer possible. Yep, correct. Yeah. So other than reacting to other people's correct answers, if the person asks that, oh, I see two or three people answering the same thing, that can also give confidence in the right answer. Yep, that is very good. I should include it next time if I want to present this. All right, so that is the end from me if there's nothing else. All right, so right now we'll be taking a break before we come back at 6:30.